welcome to Unfiltered Brew. We've brewed it. Coffee, tea, beer, whatever you'd like.
You name it.
I'm Deb Miles with my good friend Kim Becker.
Kim Becker with Hello, Gorgeous.
Yes, hello to you. And very exciting. This whole thing is graduation time, right?
I know.
And I know
some
you've
fun
been
stories
busy.
to tell you.
Oh.
And you have fun stories to tell me. I'm glad you hit record because we tell all the fun stories off air. And they were like, we should have saved that for the podcast.
Right, that's a podcast. And then we try and remember it, and we don't know what we've said.
Or it doesn't come off as good as it did the first time we told it. So
kind of like this intro. No. This is just fine. No, I'm glad because I think this is something that a lot of people can identify with and relate to, whether you're a man, woman, kid, whatever. A graduation is something that you know, especially with kids. Now, your parents, I'm a step parent, so it's very nostalgic, right?
Is.
It really is. And sometimes so much so you embarrass the kid.
Right? There are times.
But Seth, your son graduated.
He did. So it's I don't want to say it means more than most, but it meant a lot to us because it was a milestone for us. So my husband, Seth's father, passed away 2 months before Seth started high school. And so this was my goal, was last Saturday, was to get him all the way through college. And so we were able to, get him through high school. And then, I don't want to, he had some bumps along the way. It wasn't smooth sailing, but it was, we got our problems. But we were able to navigate through all of that, and we got him through it. And so, yeah, it was really meaningful. I took a hanky because Kleenex wasn't going to cut it.
Oh, no.
But I have a very cool story if you want to hear it.
Of course we do. That's what Unfiltered Brew is all about.
Yeah. So it's a cool story. And I don't know, where our listeners are at or what they believe in, but, I believe in God, and I believe that we get signs, and I believe in all of that stuff. So I had a feeling that Mike was going to show up. I just figured that somehow, some way he'd be filtered into this. Like, we'd know he was there, right? Like after 8 years of his passing, we'd know he was there. So we get into the auditorium, and we were trying to figure out, do we sit on the right side of the stage or the left side of the stage? Like if you're looking at the stage, and we decided to sit on the left side of the stage because we figured out that the graduates will come down off the left side of the stage so we could see Seth. And where our placement was, we were literally like a stone's throw from Seth. 370 kids, and we got so close to my kid. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, he could see us and we could see him, and I was so grateful for that. So they start the graduation ceremony, and they talk about the honorary doctorates that they're giving. And they're giving away an honorary doctorate in philanthropy to a gentleman by the name of Mike Becker.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, Becker was spelled Becher, not Becker.
It sounds the same, though.
Mike Becker.
Wow. There it is.
My fiance looked at me, and I looked at him, and then Seth was like, and he mouthed something that I can't say on the air. And he looked at me, and I'm like, my sister and brother-in-law and Seth's girlfriend, and they were on another part of campus watching it. And they were all texting me going, oh my gosh. Wow. And my friend was like, every hair stood up on my... Yes. And then later on, when they actually did the honorary doctorate, they said Michael Becker. And, it was very cool. And at my brother-in-law later that night, we had a big party for him at some friends of ours that live in Indianapolis. They threw Seth this wonderful party. They had like a 150-year-old house with this beautiful backyard with an outdoor fireplace. I mean, it was just perfect. And then that night, we left the kids and we went back to the hotel and went to the bar. And we were sitting there. My brother-in-law is like, how cool is God? Like, he had to line up that guy was doing all his work that was going to get the honorary degree the same day that Seth was graduating from college.
That just gives me goosebumps. It really does.
I know. Isn't that? And I was emailing with a friend today, and I said to her, Mike showed up, and she goes, well, that doesn't surprise me. She goes, because Mike never missed a thing.
Especially this.
Especially this. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I think everybody thinks it's karma and everything is. Nothing is really an accident.
No, it's not. I do not. There are no such things as coincidences. And, it's funny because since Saturday I've talked about it. I'm like, well, maybe it was just a fluke, or maybe it was just, no, it wasn't a fluke.
It would be a fluke if it was maybe something else, like they called him Mikey, or if they called him something else, or the name was pronounced differently.
Yep.
But it wasn't.
Well, and here's the other thing, too. When Jackie Walorski honored Mike's life on the congressional floor, it was for his work with Hello, Gorgeous. So then even that this Mike Becker got an honorary doctorate degree in philanthropy, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like that was Mike's life work, was philanthropy. So yeah, it was amazing. It was incredible. It was just a great day.
It's amazing. The pictures look great. Seth looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So now what's next for Seth?
So he got a job down in Indianapolis. So now this is where the mother's heart goes and leaves a piece of it in Indy.
Well,
and I know. So next weekend we're going to drive down and help him move. And so he'll get into an apartment. And it's interesting. So, for all you mothers out there that have college graduates and, Seth was on the bowling team. And so there were always opportunities to see him. Right. So I'd travel to wherever he was bowling and, or he'd have spring break or October break or Christmas break or whatever. And now when you get a real world job in the real world, you don't have those breaks anymore.
Nope.
You don't get Christmas breaks. There are no bowling tournaments anymore. There are no. And so you have to be much more strategic and intentional with the visits. And so Tom, my fiance is really good. He's like, Kim, we'll go down there and he'll come home. And, so and at one point in time, do you like clean out his bedroom and say, what do you do with all your stuff has to go with you?
Eventually that'll be all boxed up.
Yeah. But not now. But
not yet. Yeah. But I love the transitioning of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because how many times did you think, I think with my stepdaughter, when is this going to happen? When are you going to launch?
Yeah.
Because she's graduated from college and now she's getting her master's degree in social work. So she's going to get her first job and move.
Yeah.
But when is it going to happen? And when it does, well, of course, you're going to be sad about it, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of almost a relief in the fact that this is what's supposed to happen.
It is supposed to happen. And it's funny, Mike would always have to have a saying to me. And he would say to me, Kim, you do not want Seth 30 years old and living in our basement.
No.
And now I'm like, well, really? Because maybe I do want him 30 years old and living in my
but
basement.
he wouldn't be happy. You wouldn't be happy.
Well, and, and that's it. But I think it's just a part of you is just, it's bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And, and here's the other thing, too. It's like, okay, now what? Right? My whole focus for the last 8 years is to keep the organization up and going.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, gorgeous.
Yes.
To make sure that Seth had a stellar high school career and that we got him through college. And to do it without student loans. Mike was very adamant about that. And so I was able to achieve all of those things. And so,
Good for you. You're really good.
Well, and I look at it like he would be so proud of us.
Absolutely,
right?
He would be.
And so, but now it's funny because now that focus is, and now you're like, okay, so now what? Right? When that is just your focus and then all of a sudden you've achieved that goal. Anthony Robbins used to say, you never finish a goal without setting a new goal.
There's always something else.
There has to be.
Well, yeah, there has to be. Now Seth is going to have his job, his first apartment by himself, right?
Yeah, he's still going to have a roommate, and it's the same roommate that he's been living with, which is good. And his girlfriend, I love her. She's just, you know what? Mm-hmm. She's sassy just like his mom is.
Well, they say guys pick like their mom.
Oh, I see it. And so she's got one more year in school yet, mm-hmm. which is why I'm assuming that not only are the job opportunities better in Indianapolis, I think for his degree, but I think that because she's down there too. And so there is something to be said about, just seeing him happy and they do so well together. And it's good.
Just seeing them make their own lives.
Yes.
And see what decisions they make. Because right now, no matter what decision he makes, still he may ask for your opinion, but there's going to be a time when things will go farther.
Yep.
He may be popping the question.
Yeah.
They may be getting married, and then you got to kind of step back.
No, I really don't have to step back. No, I love you, but that's where I can disagree with you. I don't have to step back.
No, I guess you never do.
But it's really cute. And so before I came here, I was at the office, and the kids, they're in town. We're going to have dinner together tonight. And so they stopped by the office to see me, and they went to Chicago a few weeks ago, and they were at the lakefront, and they FaceTimed me because they knew I'd like to see the water. And so, I love that. Like so to be very honest with you, you had to really work on your relationship with Ashton, right?
Yes.
Because you didn't raise her.
Yep.
Well, early on in my marriage, Mike was sick. I was the full-time parent that worked. Mike was the full-time parent at home. And so as it got older, I really had to work on that relationship because I really didn't, Mike was the one home with him all the time. Yep. Mike really knew the ins and outs and all the things that he liked and didn't like. And I had to really work on that. And so those last 18 months we were there, don't hear that. Like we were the room parents. We were, he bowled, we were at everything that we could be at. But then with that one-on-one relationship, mm-hmm. I really had to work on that with him. And so I'm really glad that it is where it is now.
But don't you think, now just think of all the events that have happened Don't you think that's the better way for it to have happened, that he spent more time with his dad?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I've said that to Seth. I'm like, and it was funny. I had said to him, so when Sethy was 14 months old, Mike quit work to help me with the salon. And so I said to Seth, and so Mike died when he was 15. And I said, we got a concentrated dose of your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I said, your dad took you to school. Your dad picked you up. He was home every night. I said, there are a lot of kids that don't get that. Right? Their parents they don't maybe see him in the morning. They may see him for 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon or the evening. And then that's it. Like, you don't see him anymore, until the weekend. And then the grass has to be cut and the house has to be cleaned. So I say that to Seth all the time. I'm like, we really did get a concentrated dose of your dad. So I am so grateful for that time they got to spend together.
It is. And it is amazing that he did have to spend all that time together. He got to, because what would have happened then if they didn't spend a lot of time together and then he was gone?
Right.
So I don't believe everything. I think everything happens for a reason if they have to.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like with Ashton, I've never physically had children, but I met her when she was 10 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I immediately, if I remember the first time I met her, she sat next to my ex-husband and sat there and just scowled at me and just got real close to him and was hugging her arm.
This is my dad, and you can't have him.
Right. I said, and I remember this, and I teased her about it. She goes, I never did that. I said, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I was there.
She's 23 now. Yes, you did. But that was so cute. I love that memory, because that was the first time where I kind of got away from just working and thinking about work and having a life and having somebody like that in my life, because she was so spunky and special, and she still is.
Yeah.
But we've got this relationship that has grown through the years. And I attribute that to her mom and grandma. I'm really good friends with her mom and grandma. So that helps.
Yes.
And even through the divorce with her dad, I'm more friendly now with him than I ever was. We get along. Just had dinner the other night, because we just, at the point we're divorced, but we're not, there's no animosity.
No. And like I said too, right? He's not your problem anymore.
Right.
So you probably enjoy that relationship so much more, because you don't have to be accountable to him.
No.
Nor do you have to be accountable for his actions.
No, all the pressure is off.
Yes.
To try and make it work and watch what you say. It's all off.
Yeah.
So, we went through her school of social work had a party, not a party, but a program that they did. And I went by myself. I was there sitting there. I embarrassed her, because I went up to the buffet and they had this ice sculpture, but then on the bottom they had like fruit trays around it.
Ooh, that was pretty.
Well, I didn't know that the fruit trays were holding up the ice sculpture. So I said, this looks, I'm going to eat healthy. So I started to grab pieces of cantaloupe and pineapple. And then all of a sudden I heard someone say, uh-oh. And it started to slant down.
Oh, no.
And so Ashton goes, oh my gosh, the ice sculptures. So we had to prop up like some of the chicken under it. But then she laughed. We were laughing about it. And it was just so nice, because her and I, like I said, our relationship has evolved to friends. I mean, where I can give her advice and give her money, whatever. But it's turned into a very nice relationship. So no matter what has happened with her father and I, and we have this. In fact, we're going through commencement. He's going through commencement next week, and her and my ex are going there together, because parking is limited.
Yeah,
and I thought he's going to be a mess because he hates crowds. So if I can calm him down,
that'll be helpful for her too.
Right. So she won't have to worry and look out for him and try and, because so I'll just take care of that, and we'll get there and we'll fine. But I think that's just the better way to be. And I think if we continue that, I think she appreciates that.
Absolutely.
But yet we can always like giggle about him when we have dinners together, we can giggle about him. But it's funny how relationships, how you think one way is going to happen. Like when I was getting divorced, I thought, oh, this is it. This is going to be blah, 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 blah. I'm going to never talk to him again, this. And it hasn't happened like that.
Right.
And I almost feel, with some of my friends, I feel funny about telling them about, I went to dinner with him the other night. Yo, you got to cut the ties. You got to cut the ties. And I don't think I have to.
No. I mean, I think, part of it is there's a history together, right? Mm-hmm. And even though Ashton isn't your blood child, she's still a stepchild. Mm-hmm. So you still have that in common as well. So if you cut the ties, then it's going to make it awkward for her, whether there's a family event or like graduation. So I don't believe that you have to cut the ties. But I think what you've done really well is that you've set boundaries.
I have, yes, I have. And that happened when I had dinner with him. All of a sudden he started to complain about something I said, well, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I'll take my salad in a box. I've only eaten half of it out. And here we go.
And you don't have to stay.
No, and then it was fine. Yesterday he went and bought a car or something, and he was texting me about it. It's just like having a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
like I said, part of the success of that is that you put boundaries around it.
Oh yeah,
so
I
because
definitely
you put boundaries around it, that's where it's successful.
Now I don't know about the male perspective on all this, if how they feel about it. I would imagine guys feel the same way, that they can be friendly with their exes.
I don't know. It would be interesting to know how that goes. I don't know.
You think guys get hurt more in a divorce than a woman does?
I don't know that they get hurt more, but I think they move on faster.
You know why? Because they're so used to having a woman.
Yep.
Not always, but I think they're used to having that companionship.
Right. So I know in widowhood, I waited 3.5 years before I started to date. I mean, there are guys that, wait a month and then they jump, their spouse passes away and like a month later they're, and I've read stories, there's studies that have done that men will more quickly move forward with things than women will. And so I think that if it's that way with widowhood, I would think that it would be that same way with like a divorce or end of a relationship or whatever.
I think guys either go two ways on this. You're right. And it depends how long they've been married, too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If they've been married a long time, yeah, they're probably going to look for companionship. Or they're just going to go crazy.
Yeah.
They're going to buy the sports car. They're going to go live in the apartment. They're going to do and just enjoy their freedom for a while.
I know, and I'm grateful. I always say to Tom, like he's an anomaly. When he got divorced and then he had almost a year in this beautiful farmhouse, and he was by himself, and it was very cathartic for him. Like he needed that time and space to figure out like who he was after the length of time that he was married, and then who did he want to be with, and who did he want to become. Now you've got all this time, but I don't know that many men are like that. I think he's probably a rarity.
I would imagine you're a lot different than his ex-wife.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say yes.
Which is
way different.
Which is probably something he couldn't conceive then. I mean, he probably thought, this is what I've lived with, so what am I looking for? So he did take that time probably, like you said, find out who he was.
And what was really interesting, and you're in the dating world now too, so I don't know whether you've asked questions of gentlemen that you've dated, but one of the things that was really important to him was emotional availability. Like, are you emotionally available? Can you have intelligent conversation?
What does that mean, emotionally available?
Well, if you're not hanging on to an ex.
Oh,
I see. Do you know what I mean? Do you have your ducks in a row? Are you, basically psychologically, are you okay? Can you?
It depends on the day for me.
Right. Well, you know what? Or the meds.
Hey, I got to start on those too.
Right. Yeah. And so I think between that and then the other thing that was really important to him was being able to have intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be able to talk to a person. And that's what I said too. Communication is the key for me. I've got to be able to talk. But I think that men that rush into it, and again, I don't know enough about the psychology or the study of it, but it'd be really interesting. Like if you rush from one relationship to another, do you just rush from one situation to one that's very similar? Because you don't really take the time to sit back and say, well, this is what I don't want now because
this is what I'm missing because this is what I had for 30 years.
Correct.
So I got to have it again.
That's right.
She'll work. I'll make it work.
That's right.
You're right.
That's right.
Now, when my husband died, my first husband died, it was about 3 years before I met my second husband. And if hindsight's 2020, I probably would not have married him within the 2 years.
Really?
I think I would have waited. But in my case, you're thinking about companionship. You're thinking about how you want your life to move. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about finding a good guy. I wanted, a family involved. I wanted that involved. But I really didn't, I don't think, ask them the questions or see the red flags that I should have.
Do you think, and I was going to ask you that, do you believe that there were red flags there?
Oh, yeah. There were red flags. The red flag one, and my friends will say to me, well, we had the red flags. Did he live anywhere? They were asking about, he was living on a house with his where his family lived. His dad lived. They had 3 different little houses out on a farm that they lived out in South Bend. And he kind of didn't say what the living arrangement was. Well, it turned out he didn't have his own place.
Oh.
He was living in the basement of his dad's house.
Oh.
And this is a man that's, in his 50s.
Right.
So
right.
there was a red flag.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a place where he took his kids when he would take them. But he always, paid child support. And he was always that way. But I should have saw the red flags. That would have probably slowed me down.
But I think that as women, and I am very guilty of this, and I was guilty of that, and that is that I may see the flag, but I'm like, I can change him.
Well,
I might see the flag, and I think that I can love you through this. I think that, you had problems with your ex-wife, whatever it is, but you know what? I'm different. And so because I'm different, our relationship will be different. So I see the red flags, but then I poo-poo them.
But for some reason, you picked the right red flags to poo-poo because, look, you're in a successful relationship now. You're getting married.
Tom, I'm not talking about Tom's red flags. I'm talking about the red flags of the person in between.
Sorry,
Tom,
you did
not
have red flags. I didn't want to start a conversation. There are no red flags there.
Yeah, no. Tom was all. But what's interesting is, and you and I have had this conversation before, so we talk about red flags, right? That I read and I watched a TikTok on it that was very interesting. And they said that sometimes after you get out of a relationship where there are a ton of red flags, then when you get into a new relationship, all of a sudden you think that the green flags are red flags.
Oh, geez. It's a good thing men are colorblind. And we should be sometime, don't you think?
Right. But they're a thing because you just get used to, our friend Kathy, that is the wardrobe stylist.
Yes.
Has said we shop out of habit.
Yes, we do.
We shop out of habit. And I realize that like with my purses, if I look in my closet, all my purses are red and black.
That's true.
Except for my new one. My new one, I went leopard print on that one. But we shop out of habit. We date out of habit too.
This is why I use things like Stitch Fix and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I let them pick what the stuff is.
That's right.
And the best stuff I get are things that I don't pick.
Right. And Kathy was the same way. When I went and took the television gig, and she came and she picked out all of these.
She picks good stuff because I had her do stuff for me before.
Oh my gosh. And I love them. But when she said that, you shop out of habit, and I'm like, I so do shop out of habit. I have a tendency to go for the same things all the time. But then when I sit back and I compare it with my dating life, I dated out of habit too. All of a sudden, like you look for the same things. You find the man with the same qualities. And so, right, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
And that's why we're crazy. No, we're not.
Right? But if you date the same kind of man and expect him to treat you differently, it's not going to happen. So that's when I had to sit back and be able to say, well, and I will tell you this too. And for me, and I don't know. All right, so I'm going to ask you something. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer.
I'm an open book.
All right. So were Rick and
Rocco?
Yeah. Were they alike?
Not at all.
So me, same thing. Mike and my fiance that I broke
but not in a good way.
With, correct. They were not alike at all. And for me, I did think I did that intentionally because I missed Mike so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted somebody that was completely opposite of Mike.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Right. And so then once things had healed, now Tom is very much, in a lot of ways, he has a lot of Mike's qualities. Let's just say the way he treats me, the way he loves me, the way he supports me. This man, every morning before I go on the air, he makes me hot water with lemon and honey in it. So that my voice is, I don't even ask for it. It's just, he comes in, puts it on the counter, and he makes my lunch every day. I mean,
see, I would feel so guilty about that. You shouldn't, but I would because I'm a neurotic.
And I'll tell you why you shouldn't feel guilty. And that is if it's his love language, then you're robbing him of doing the things that makes him feel good.
Okay. Is there some kind of course I can take for love language? Because I see this
just in the book. I think you just have to read the book.
Because
listen to it.
Love language to me is all Greek.
Yeah.
It's all like I don't understand what the love language is.
I know
is that how they act?
Yes.
Is what they do?
Yes. So it's physical touch, acts of service, gifts. I can't think of what the fourth one is. I got to Google it now. But there's a fourth one. Right. And so what happens is because that's their love language, then that's what feeds them. That's what makes them feel connected, right? And so if you don't have that, if you don't have those love languages, and to find out what your love languages are and what their love languages are, then you'll find out how to complement one another. So it's the same thing. So I feel like what some of Tom's are is acts of service. That's what makes him feel good, is to do for others.
Okay.
So I can't feel guilty about that because then I'm robbing him of those joys that he has.
So is your love language opposite of his love language?
In some ways, I think yes. But
so
I don't
that's
know.
what I'm looking for, maybe? Opposite love languages?
I took the test, but I can't remember what my love language was anymore.
I don't even know if I have one.
You do. But I don't know what it is. Now, hang on. I got to Google this.
All right. You Google it.
All right. Because I got to figure out what they are now. All right. 5 love languages. What are the 5 love languages? Here we go. Hang on. I'm Googling it.
Well, you've got 4 of them. We only need one more.
I do have 4. I know. Just show me what they are.
But, you know.
Acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time.
Oh, okay.
Words of affirmation, and physical touch. So I think mine are like words of affirmation and quality time would probably be my 2. Like I like for someone to tell me that, I'm doing a good job or something like that.
Well, I do too. I always have to have someone tell me I'm doing something right.
Right.
Or else I don't get out of bed.
I do things wrong all the time.
Poor me.
Yeah. I know.
But, I'm learning. I've gone on a couple dates now, and, I've tried to talk to, but it's amazing when you talk to people and we actually see them and meet them, it can be totally different.
That's right. Which is why I think, too, that I think it's important to have phone conversations. Because I think that too much doesn't get relayed, even with texting. And here's the other thing, too. It was funny. We were talking about this the other day. I was talking with Trish. And so this is a funny story. And this is why I think conversations are important. So I bought a little convertible when I sold my house, like a 2009 Volkswagen. Mm-hmm. It looks like a transformer when it unfolds. It's really cool. And so Brianna, they didn't go down to Seth's graduation because my niece had her prom. Mm-hmm. So I said, would you like to borrow the convertible for prom? And she's like, oh, Mimi, that'd be great. So I, loan him the car. Uh-huh. So Trisha's telling me, this and that. And the way that she was voice texting on Sunday morning, and what it came out was that the car was lame. And I'm like, aw.
That they didn't think that.
No. What she meant was the car was great and the prom was lame. But I got that when it voice texted out, right. It was that the car was lame. So she's like, you know what? We have a team member and she sends us voice notes all the time. Mm-hmm. Not voice text. She doesn't voice text. She sends a voice note. We actually hear her voice that's talking to you. And Trish is like, that's what I'm going to start doing right now. From now on, is I'm going to start sending you a voice note. I wonder how different relationships would be if we sent voice notes instead of text messages, because then you can hear the voice, the inflection in the voice. Are they distracted? Are they doing something else? Because I wonder if that's better. On
paper, this one of the guys I went with 2, one of them on paper looked great. And he even lived like 2 miles away from me. He performed, he played guitar in one of the masses at the church I go to.
Oh, wow.
So I thought this has possibilities. We seem to have a lot in common. But then when we went and had our dinner at 4:00.
You're like, I can't do this.
Yeah. And all he did was talk about prices.
Oh, yeah, no.
And then talked about how he likes soup so much. And I thought, okay. And then he looked disheveled to me.
Oh. And if this is your best putting your best foot forward on a date, that means it only goes downhill from here.
So I felt kind of bad. And then we were texting all the time before this. And then I felt bad. The next day there wasn't a text. And then I let a couple days go and I thought, I got to at least send him a text and thank him again for dinner. And it was nice meeting you. And he said, oh, I was just waiting for you to see if you would text me back and let me know what, I thought, okay. I said, well, I'm going to be really busy for work-wise and stuff. So, I might touch base with you in a little bit. So that's kind of how I left it.
You want to let him down easy.
And we haven't texted since then. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, maybe that's a good thing.
But it's just, and I'm having friends now try and fix me up and that doesn't always work well because then I get offended by what they set me up with. I'm thinking, how do you see me? and then they get upset about it. And then, but they don't want me to go on the dating apps because they don't think I'll find anybody. But I'm going to keep trying.
I found somebody on a dating app.
I'm going to keep trying. I know you did.
Keep trying.
And how's the wedding planning? Quickly.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. Now I can really focus on it, right? So it was one of those things where the goal was to get Seth graduated. And so now he's graduated, now the wedding planning can be in full. We've made progress. Now I just need to get into the nitty gritty of stuff. So,
well, it is May. It's Mother's Day month. It's also, spring. A lot of things are happening around the area.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yes,
it's going to be here.
I think Memorial Day weekend. You know where I'm going to be?
No.
I'm going to be in Vegas seeing my brother. We're going to the Sphere to see Kenny Chesney.
Oh my gosh. I wanted to go to see the Eagles. You'll have to let me know. We got to talk about that experience because that's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I bought the tickets today. I'm getting things ready.
Good for
and I
you.
get to visit my brother that I haven't seen in 2 years now. So
he's going to go with you, isn't he?
Oh yeah, I always have him go.
Oh yeah.
I stay in the hotel. I don't stay at his house. He doesn't live on the Strip. He doesn't gamble, but he'll go gambling with me. But I like the whole thing of Vegas, but I also like the fact I have a security blanket in my brother.
That's right. Exactly. There's somebody there in case you would get into trouble or you need to get out of jail.
It could possibly happen. I never say never when I'm in Vegas.
I would never say never either. That's right. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So there's that.
Sometimes.
That's right.
You better keep your phone open.
That's right. I will. I promise. I promise. I can't
get back. I don't know what happened. Anyway,
I got you.
This has been a fun episode of Unfiltered Rue. And please, if you're listening, you can get a hold of me at Deb, DEB, at B100B100.com. I'm on Facebook, also Instagram, Deb5291. How can they get a hold of you, Kim?
K Becker at hellogorgeous.org, or you can find me on Facebook at Kim Becker. And I'm on Instagram at Kim Becker Inspires. Right. So, and if you've got a friend that you think could gain some knowledge from our dating advice,
or give us advice,
or give us advice, whatever it is, well, make sure that you share this episode so that way then your friends can hear how goofy we are too. But it makes you smile, and it just it gives you a giggle.
It does give you a giggle. And if anything, there's somebody as screwed up as you. In myself, not Kim. Kim's the voice of reason. I'm the one who's going all over the place.
Sometimes.
Have a wonderful month. We'll be back the first Monday in June. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Deb.
Bye.
Bye.